Hello everyone, this is Jason Merkel and I'm here today with the amazing E-flite P-51D Mustang 1.5 m warbird. This thing, guys, it is our largest E-flite P-51 yet, and it is by far our mightiest Mustang yet. It's got a ton of surface features. You may not be able to see them in this video, but we're gonna have a lot of other videos, photos that you guys can see all that up close. Obviously, we've got guns, we've got panel lines, all kinds of surface details that we don't put in some of the smaller aircraft. We do call it extra scale for that reason. We've got drop tanks included, we got treaded tires, of course, and then on top of that, we also have functional scale features. Obviously, a really great, awesome four-blade prop as per the scale aircraft. We have retractable landing gear, including sequenced gear doors. And then on top of that, we also have a retractable tail wheel in the scale location. You know, a lot of smaller warbirds, they won't have the retractable tail wheel. It'll be mounted off the rudder, which is not quite scale. So we've got that added as well. Of course, we have functional flaps, which work fantastic. We also have navigation lights. You guys probably see the red light on the wingtip there, and you'll probably hopefully see it. It's getting a little dark out, and hopefully you guys can see those lights in action in the air. One thing I want to point out is that even though this is a relatively large model, it's very easy to transport. The wing is 3 pieces, and we'll cover that in another video, where the outer panels unplug just outside the flaps here, so the landing gear stays with the center section, so it's easy to move the airplane in and out of cars, to set it down, and those outer panels plug in with no fasteners. There's no wiring, none of that required. It just snaps right into place, works phenomenal. Again, check out some of our other videos to see that in more detail. And then one of the other great things about this P-51, it's that it's our smartest P-51 yet. It not only includes, in the BNF Basic version, the Spectrum AR637 TA receiver, which has full range telemetry. It also has a Spectrum Avion Smart 100 amp ESC. And that's phenomenal because if you use a standard battery, you'll still get full battery voltage telemetry right back to your transmitter. You've got motor temperature, ESC temperature. If you use a smart battery, the Spectrum Smart LiPo on top of that, you have additional battery data. You can see individual cell voltages, the imbalances between the cells, how many cycles, how warm the battery gets. It's really phenomenal stuff. Again, we're going to cover a lot of that in other videos. This is a flight talk video, so we're going to show you guys some flying. And by the way, I will point out it is a 6S power system. And one of the reasons that we chose this 1.5 m size was because we wanted the airplane to have phenomenal performance on a 6S, all the way from 4,000 up to a 7,000 milliamp battery. Yes, we've had some larger, you know, for example, Carbon Z T28 in the past, which is a much larger aircraft, and it flew on a 6S 5000, but it wasn't necessarily fighter-like performance. We wanted this to fly like a fighter and not only have good speed, phenomenal vertical, but also good flight times, anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes, depending on the battery that you use. Today, we're flying with a 6S 5000 30C Spectrum Smart LiPo battery, which is probably typical of what most people are going to use. You could probably use anything as low as a 3200 up to even an 8000, but we typically have been using the 4000, the 5000, and the 7000 milliamp 30C Spectrum Smart LiPos. They work great. We've got the, obviously, Outrunner motor installed in there. Gives really good performance. Level flight speeds around 80 miles per hour, which is pretty darn good for a model this size. And again, it's just like fighter-like performance, which is exactly what we were kind of going for, with good flight times, easy to transport, at the same time a ton of scale details, and then on top of it all, to have smart technology inside of it, absolutely phenomenal. But let's get to the flying. So I am using a DX8 today, guys. You only need a 6-channel transmitter to fly it if you're not using AS3X and SAFE Select. I do have SAFE Select on this aircraft at the moment. I probably will not be using it, but I do have that. One thing that I like to do, it's a personal preference thing, with a scale model in particular, is I like to bring up the throttle trim to get the prop kind of just idling. Just kind of looks more scale when you stop at the end of the runway before you take off, or even if you come in for a landing and you let it slow down. So I'm going to put the flaps down to the takeoff position. Taxi down the runway here. We've got a little bit of a crosswind today. And obviously with a tail dragger or warbird in particular, that can make things a little more difficult. But this airplane, it absolutely flies fantastic, handles fantastic, makes things easier than other airplanes. All right, you guys can probably see those navigation lights already. And here we go. Try and keep it up a little bit higher so you guys can see it. It's getting a little dark outside. Gonna come by on an almost downwind pass here so you guys can see how fast it is. Yes, very good speed. Very, very fighter-like performance, guys. Phenomenal handling airplane. I've flown a lot of P-51s, and this is by far one of the best flying, hands down. Come back by, do a little bit of a slow roll here. It just looks and sounds so good, guys. I really can't stress that enough. Come back by here low and do some tight turns down low. Oh, just love the way that sounds, love the way it looks. And I really can't stress enough just how solid this airplane feels. I am flying the BNF Basic version, which of course has SAFE Select, but man, it is absolutely phenomenal. So locked in, so smooth, so solid. Performance is fantastic. The speed, the vertical, very, very fighter-like. Bring it in low inverted here.
Time remaining 2 minutes.
Do some other close-in aerobatics here. You can pull into just giant loops. Has so much power, such good vertical performance. Throttle back a little bit on the back side here. Oh, just really, really looks and flies the part, guys. But on top of having really great top speed performance, I'm gonna go ahead and put the flaps down to the landing flap position. And I'll have to admit, I was blown away by how slow this airplane can fly. Now, for those that may have flown our 1.2 m Mustang, that also flies remarkably slow for a warbird. But man, this thing, it's unbelievable. It is just crawling right now, guys. I'm not sure if you can really tell this on the video, but this thing is going slow right now. So locked in, so stable. I'll do a little bit of a circuit here so you guys can just see how locked in and stable it is, even at this very, very low speed. And that's a real testament to how well this particular model handles all around, from slow to fast, everything in between, of course. Look at that. But then we can punch the throttle, put the flaps up, and pull up vertical. Climb out just like a fighter would. Gotta love it. Do one more fast pass before I land her real quick. Oh, just love the way that looks with that trim scheme, the invasion stripes. That yellow nose helps with the orientation. The navigation lights. So I'm gonna put my flaps and my gear down and make a gear pass. And one thing I wanna remind you guys is that this does have a retractable tail wheel. So when you do your gear pass, and hey, if you don't do gear passes, I highly recommend them. Make sure that not only your main gear are down, but then also the sequenced gear doors for the main gear have gone back up. But look at that tail wheel. Tail wheel's down and locked. We're gonna bring her in for a landing. All right, guys, I know some people like to make 3-point landings with tail draggers, even when it comes to warbirds in particular, but that said, it usually looks better and works a little better to just fly it down onto the mains and kind of fly it all the way down to the ground, till the tail's on the ground. Do that here.
Time remaining 3 minutes.
There we go. Taxi her back. Hopefully you guys can see those navigation lights. They look really great. It's kind of almost sunset light. God, love that 4-blade prop with the painted tips. Look at that, guys. There you have it. That is the E-flite P-51D Mustang 1.5 m. Thank you.